Welcome to Tai Chi Moving for Better Balance. Today we will be practicing the form brush knee. We will begin holding the ball with the left hand on top, just as if we just completed repulse monkey. So we'll start with the left hand on top, we'll shift to the top hand side. That bottom hand brushes across our knee and comes to the hip as we take a step forward. We push with the top hand across our body. The brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. We shift to the top hand side, take a small step forward, heel then toe, brush knee, the hand comes to the left hip. We push with the right hand across our body. That brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. And we're back to the left hand on top. Let's try that again. Left hand on top, we shift to the top hand side, take a small step forward, heel then toe, brushing our knee as we step forward, hand comes to the hip. We push across the body, shifting back, straightening the toe out. That brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. We shift to the top hand side. That top hand, we brush with the bottom hand, taking a step, heel then toe. The top hand pushes across. That bottom or brush hand becomes now the top, and we're back to the left hand on top. Okay, let's try this again. We're going to shift to the top hand side. The bottom hand brushes the knee as we take a small step forward, heel and then toe, setting that toe down nice and slow, pushing across our body, good reach. Then as we shift back, we straighten that toe out, and the brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shifting back to the top hand side, bottom hand brushes the knee, comes down to the hip, stepping forward, brushing, and then that brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. And we're back to where we began. Now we want you to be able to do this on either side, so we're going to switch, and this time we're going to do it on the right hand. It doesn't really matter which hand we start with. We shift to the top hand side. That bottom hand brushes the knee and comes to the hip, heel and then toe, shifting our weight forward as we push across our body, shift back, straighten the toe out. The bottom hand, the brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Now we shift to the top hand side. We brush our knee, comes down to the hip, heel then toe. The top hand pushes across the body. Then we shift back, straighten the toe out. That brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. And we're back to the right hand on top. Let's practice that again. Shifting to the top hand side, the bottom hand brushes the knee, comes to the hip, top hand pushes across, the brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Okay, we're going to start over here. Okay, top hand, right hand on top, shifting to that top hand side, brush the knee as we take a small step forward, heel and then toe, that good hand on the hip. Then we push across our body as we shift forward. Now we shift back, straighten the toe out, the bottom hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shift to the top hand side, brush knee, pushing across the body, shifting the weight back, straightening the toe out, and we're back to the right hand on top. One more time, right hand on top, shift to the top hand side, brush knee down to the hip, heel then toe, push across the body, shift back, straighten the toe out, the brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shift to the top hand side, the bottom hand brushes the knee, comes down to the hip, push across the body, good reach, shift back as we straighten the foot out, and the bottom hand becomes the top of hold, or that brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Okay, so now we're going to start with hold the ball with the Wyoming twist and go all the way through. Now remember, holding the ball with the Wyoming twist, we're taking that little step forward, switching our hands in the holding the ball position. This is the Wyoming twist of the hold the ball. Now we're taking the steps back, holding the ball, shifting that weight so that our steps are nice and even. 3 forward, 3 back. Now parting the wild horse's mane. Shift to the top hand side. That top hand comes down to the hip. The bottom hand comes up to part the wild horse's mane. We shift back, straighten the foot out. Top hand comes to the hip, bottom hand comes up, parting the wild horse's mane, shifting back, straightening the toe, and the top hand becomes the brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Now we're single whip, block to the side, that block hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shift to the top hand side, single whip, block to the side, we shift back, and that block hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Wave hands like clouds now. Shifting to the top hand side, and we're going to step and come together, step together 3 times as we're waving hands like clouds. The hands trade positions. One's down on the counter, the other one's the mirror hand. Once we get 3, we step, looking at the mirror. The bottom hand points the direction that our weight shift is going to go. We do 3 of those, and then we finish with holding the ball. Then we're ready to go to repulse monkey. We shift to the top hand side, that top hand reaches forward, bottom hand reaches back, block to the back, palms up, and the back hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shift to the top hand side, block forward, bottom hand blocks back, we come back, the block hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Now brush knee, bottom hand brushes knee, top hand pushes across, we shift back, straighten the toe out, and the brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shift to the top hand side, brush knee, push across the body, shifting back, straightening that toe out, and we're back to hold the ball. Okay, now let's do this with the right hand on top this time. Shift to the top hand side, we're going to do the hold the ball with a Wyoming twist. Taking those small steps, heel then toe, 3 forward, then 3 back. With each step, we're trading our hand positions. Now we're going to come back. We shift to the top hand side, we take a good step with the opposite side. 3 steps back, and we hold the ball. We're ready to part the wild horse's mane. Down to our hip, parting the wild horse's mane, shifting forward and back. That parting the wild horse's mane becomes the top of hold the ball. Top hand down to the side, parting the wild horse's mane, shifting back. That parting hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Now we're going to wave hands like clouds. We skipped single whip on this. I really apologize. I didn't realize it until afterwards. So this time we're just going to skip single whip. It's really important. I apologize. Hold the ball 3 times going back, waving hands like clouds. Top hand comes down onto the counter, bottom hand comes up. We go back and forth 3 times. Once we get to the 3rd time, we hold the ball and we're ready for repulse monkey. Shift forward, bottom hand comes up, blocks back, palms up, and the block hand becomes the top of hold the ball. Shift forward, block back, palms up, the back hand becomes the top of hold the ball. The bottom hand brushes the knee, top hand pushes across as we step forward, heel and then toe, shifting that weight forward, then back. Then we switch hands, brush knee, pushing forward, shifting back, brush hand becomes the top of hold the ball, and we have completed brush knee.